Good evening and welcome. Tonight, Supreme Court affirms President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, as the authentic APC candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District at the legislative election on February 25th. FCC High Court stops the central bank, the president and 27 commercial banks from suspending the currency swap terminal date of February 10 as Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states government sue the federal government seeking to stop the full implementation of the CBN policy. Forum of Nigerian political parties backs the CBN on naira policy, threatens to boycott the 2023 general elections if the president succumbs to pressure to extend the naira swap deadline. An earthquake kills over 2,000 people across southern Turkey and northern Syria. A president declares 7 days of national mourning.
On business news tonight, Nigerian Investment Promotion Council launches stakeholder engagement to drive national investment promotion campaign.
On sports news tonight, Manchester City face expulsion from the Premier League after the English champions were charged with more than 100 breaches of financial rules.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, death toll in the Katsina State terrorist attack rises to 100 as Governor Masari sends delegation to condole with victims' families.
The trial of former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice continued today in a London court. The Ekweremadus are facing trial over alleged organ harvesting. Senator Ekweremadu has been in custody since being arrested with his wife on June 23, 2022. While his wife was later granted bail, Senator Ekweremadu had been denied bail ever since. Our London correspondent Juliana Olainka was at the court today and brought us up to date on the trial.
It does appear as if today really was the start of what is likely to be a very lengthy, a very complicated, complex trial. We do have a jury. 12 individuals were sworn in today, 7 of them being female, 4 of them being male. And it was a morning for the prosecution, and it was certainly an emotive reaction, talking about some of the significant facts in this case, really pitting the Ekweremadus as very powerful, very wealthy, a very influential family before their arrest in June of 2022. But one thing the prosecution outlined to the jury is that you can have all the money and all the power that you want. If you don't have health, then you have an issue. And that, of course, is what is the center of this case. Sonia Ekweremadu's significant kidney failures. The last time I updated our viewers, we weren't sure whether or not she was fit to stand trial, but of course it does appear as if the judge has deemed her fit to stand trial. However, the judge did say that the court would have to break for significant periods of the day so that she can still undergo this dialysis treatment at one of the private hospitals she is frequenting.
Back here in the country, the Ogun State High Court sitting in Lokoja has committed the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdurrashid Bawa, to prison for disobeying court order. The court also directed the Inspector General of Police to effect Bawa's arrest and remand him in Kuje prison in the FCT for the next 14 days until he purges himself of the contempt. The EFCC had arraigned one Ali Bello for alleged misappropriation and money laundering before a federal high court in Abuja. Justice Rukayat Ayola of the Kogi State High Court, in his judgment today, granted the application for committal to prison of the EFCC chairman for disobeying a court ruling which directed the EFCC chairman to produce Bello, the applicant, in the case. The counsel to the applicant, Sumaila Abbas, had dragged Bauer to court for arresting and detaining Bello illegally after the court ruled in his favor, only for the EFCC to arraign him for alleged money laundering. The EFCC's applications for setting aside and stay of execution of the ruling were refused for want of merit. To more legal matters, this time on the Central Bank of Nigeria policy, where Justice Enojo Eneche of the Federal Capital Territory High Court stopped the CBN and President Muhammadu Buhari, as well as 27 commercial banks, from suspending or interfering with the currency redesign terminal date of February 10, or issue any directive contrary to the said date. In a motion by some political parties, the court also granted an order directing the chief executive officers of the banks to show cause why they should not be arrested and prosecuted for financial sabotage of the country. The parties are accusing the commercial banks of illegally hoarding and not disbursing the new 200, 500 and 1,000 naira banknotes, despite supply of such notes by the CBN. Meanwhile, the governments of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states have dragged the federal government before the Supreme Court, seeking a restraining order to stop the full implementation of the naira redesign policy. An motion ex parte filed on their behalf by their lawyer, Abdul Hakim Mustafa. The three northern states are urging the apex court to grant them an interim injunction, stopping the federal government, either by itself or acting through the CBN, commercial banks or its agents, from carrying out its plan of ending the use of the old 200, 500 and 1,000 naira denominations effective February 10, 2023. The plaintiffs in the suit are the three attorneys general and the commissioners of justice of the three states, while the attorney general of the federation and minister of justice, Abubakar Malami, is the sole respondent. They argue that since the announcement of the policy, there's been an acute shortage in the supply of the new naira notes in Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states, and further maintain that the 10-day extension by the federal government is still insufficient to address the challenges bedeviling the policy. No date has been fixed for the hearing of the suit. And the Forum of Chairmen of Nigerian Political Parties has thrown its weight behind the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, threatened to boycott the 2023 general elections if the president succumbs to pressure from some governors to extend the deadline for the use of the old naira notes. A forum at a joint news conference with some presidential candidates in Abuja today maintained that only politicians who want to buy votes in the forthcoming elections are against the CBN decision. The forum also alleges a plot by some groups to instigate violence to cause a shift in the date for the polls.
Members of the Forum of Nigerian Political Parties and some of their candidates are gathered here for a news conference to state their position on the recent policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria on cash withdrawal limit and the redesigned naira notes.
And cash withdrawal policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Led by the National Chairman of Action Alliance, Mr. Kenneth Udeze, the forum asserts that the CBN policies are beneficial, saying it is only politicians who want to buy votes that are agitated by the Apex Bank's decision.
After robust engagement among ourselves, we are nearing a consensus, and it is my pleasure to announce to you all that the political parties in Nigeria and candidates for election 2023 general elections support the naira redesign and cash withdrawal policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria. It is only election riggers, vote buyers, bandits, corruption merchants, and other accomplices that are against these policies.
This is the best policy that the Buhari administration has brought. It will checkmate completely, paying of ransom, and in all, it will checkmate with buying.
The group also alleges a plot to instigate violence and cause a shift in the date for the general elections, threatening to boycott the elections if President Buhari and the CBN succumb to pressure from some governors.
We have intercepted very credible intelligence of our well-financed plot to instigate violence and causing a shift on the election. We hereby announce our resolution that at least 13 out of the 18 political parties in Nigeria will not be interested in the 2023 election And indeed, we shall withdraw our participation from the electoral process if these currency policies are suspended or cancelled, or if the deadline is further shifted.
The recent policy of the CBN regarding the cash withdrawal limit and the deadline for the acceptance of old naira notes has received serious backlash among members of the ruling party. However, this group is assuring the Apex Bank of giving it the needed support to ensure the policies succeed.
As Nigerians continue to lament the scarcity of the new naira notes, pro-Nigeria group, a civil society organization, is asking banks to support the efforts of the CBN governor to checkmate vote buying by politicians. The group held a solidarity walk in support of the Apex Bank's policy in Abuja. The convener, Mr. Isaac Bellamy, says the new policy is in the best interest of Nigeria and of Nigerians. Meanwhile, senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, is adding his voice to the numerous reactions on the currency and fuel scarcity crisis. In a statement today, the senior lawyer criticized the federal government for unleashing untold hardship on the masses by the unprecedented scarcity of naira notes and fuel. He says the government has failed in its obligation to guarantee the security and welfare of the Nigerian people as provided under Section 14(2) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. Falana is asking the CBN to allow the old and the new naira notes to be legal tender pending when the new notes are available. On the scarcity of petrol, Mr. Falana wonders why there is an artificial scarcity after the NNPC Limited had said it has 2 billion litres of PMS in stock. He therefore asked the president to direct the NNPC Limited to supply adequate fuel to save Nigeria from the ongoing crisis. Meanwhile, in continuation of his campaign across the country, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, was in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, earlier, where he assured residents he has the capacity to tackle unemployment and insecurity. At the Metropolitan Square in Ilorin, the Labour Party candidate also called for calm due to the scarcity of cash as a result of the currency swap and urged the CBN to ensure the availability of cash to ease the pain on Nigerians.
The Labour Party presidential candidates arrived Ilorin International Airport around 2:30 in the afternoon amidst chants from the crowd that welcomed him. At the Metropolitan Square, venue of the rally, the presidential candidate charged the people to ask other parties who are campaigning for their achievements in government.
This year's election, they are going to come to you and they will tell you to vote for them based on tribe. Please tell them you're hungry. Tell them you're unemployed. Tell them you're suffering. No tribe buys bread cheaper. They will come with religion. They will come with religion. They will tell you they are Muslims, they are Christians. Tell them you're hungry. You have no job. The students are not in school. All this, resist it. Do not allow them to continue. They will give you money. Collect the money because it's your money. It is your money. It is your money they've stolen. They didn't print any money. So if they give you the money, collect it and vote for us.
The vice presidential candidate on his part says the previous administrations had pauperized the country. Therefore, the people should reject them.
While you are queuing for your cash, they will tell you they have improved their economy. Is that true? While you are eking out a living, they tell you they stopped corruption. Is that true? They and their promises are hollow.
You need some on 25th of February 2023. We will stand there.
Other speakers charged the youths to be ready to change the leadership of the country as they had failed them.
We will build a Nigeria where the child of nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody. Enough is enough. They have treated us as if we are slaves. We are citizens, we are not slaves.
Peter Obi also expressed displeasure at the sufferings being experienced by Nigerians due to the central bank policy on changing of the naira notes. He called on the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria to urgently find solutions to de-escalate the issues. Dele Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, as of February 25th, commencement of the general elections draws nearer, political parties ramp up efforts to woo more voters across the country. We'll have details shortly. Do join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Supreme Court affirms President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, as the authentic APC candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District in the legislative election of February 25th. FCT High Court stops the central bank, the president, and 27 commercial banks from suspending the currency swap terminal date of February 10 as Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara state governments sued the federal government seeking to stop the full implementation of the CBN policy. Forum on Nigerian political parties backs the CBN on the naira policy, threatens to boycott the 2023 general elections if the president succumbs to pressure to extend the naira swap deadline. An earthquake kills over 2,000 people across southern Turkey and northern Syria. Turkish President Recep Erdogan declares 7 days of national mourning. We're in River State now, where Governor Nyesom Wike has criticized opposition political parties in the state for raising what he calls fake alarm about violence against their supporters. Governor Wike says by their actions, the opposition political parties are not prepared for the elections. He was speaking at the state PDP campaign rally in Asari Toro local government area, where the party's governorship candidate Siminiali Fubara promised to invest more in the state's security.
The Governor Nyesom Wike-led campaign team of the People's Democratic Party in River State arrives in Buguma, Asari Toru local government area, amidst warm reception by excited supporters. The people who are part of the Kalabari ethnic nationality are promising to vote for the PDP in appreciation for the construction of the first phase of the landmark Trans-Kalabari Road after many years of failed promises.
Nyesom Wike alone has connected 6 more communities, and so now we have 18 communities connected to the mainland. He has put his name in the sandpits of time. The only way we can tell him thank you is for all 251 units of Asari Toro local government area to come out en masse and give not less than 95% of our voting strength.
The governorship candidate, Siminilaye Fubara, is promising to invest more in security for the people.
This administration has done in Asari Toro, and the only reason we could achieve it is one thing: peace. That is the truth. If there is no peace, there won't be progress. So I want to assure you, I will sustain and maintain that peace.
Meanwhile, Governor Wike is cautioning against false alarms about insecurity and political violence in the state.
Stop raising unnecessary alarm. Every day, alarm on social media. We know people's antecedents. We know people who have feigned that they were shot before without no doctor's report from anywhere. Every time election comes, it's only shouting, killing or no killing.
In a state broadcast after the campaign rally, Governor Wike promises adequate security and directs security agencies to raid black spots in the state.
I have directed security agencies to raid any suspected area or premises and clamp down on cultists, militant support groups, and other miscreants being used by politicians to disturb the peace, safety, and security of the state. Anyone with useful information about the camps, gatherings, plans, and activities of these criminal elements and their sponsors should forward it to security agencies for action.
The People's Democratic Party in Rivers State says this rally is an indication of its wide acceptability in Asari Toru as it plans to take the campaign to other local government areas.
And in Ogun State, the governorship candidate of the ADC, Mr. Olubiyi Otegbeye, says this is a time for the Ogun West Senatorial District to produce a governor of the state. The ADC governorship flag bearer stated this during his campaign rally in Yewa North local government area of the state. He affirmed there is no more division amongst the political gladiators from the area on the issue of a governor emerging from there.
Yewa North local government area in Ogun State plays host to the African Democratic Congress ADC governorship candidate Barrister Olubiyi Otegbeye for his statewide campaign rallies. Yewa is one of the largest local government areas in the state and located in Ogun West Senatorial District. Members of the community troop out en masse with much excitement to receive Barrister Otegbeye and his team. The ADC are seeking votes as they campaign from ward to ward in order to woo voters ahead of this month's March 11 governorship election.
For the benefit of everybody, we are not divided. Only one candidate from Ogun West is contesting this election. I have the assurance of my people here, they are going to vote en masse, overwhelmingly, 100% for ADC in the next governorship election. Nothing will change it. And I've also told them, now all the suffering will end. We are not going to be having all this incessant kidnapping, raping of all our women, arresting of all our children, and all those people conducting their legitimate businesses, selling their product in their own homes, and then people will come and raid it. It is wrong and it will stop.
In Iboro, the ADC governorship candidate visits the All Progressives Congress Senator, Mr. Tolu Odebi, representing Ogun West.
I'm sure that we have agreed on one thing, that we need to work together to educate our people and make them to understand, so that the division that we're being orchestrated within our people, we will dispel it with proper education.
Mr. Otegbeye emphasizes that it's the turn of the West for the Ogun State governor to come from in the forthcoming election.
I'm happy today that history is coming back full circle. That here I am, Senator Odebi, supporting, or at least reaching out to the governor to be Otegbeye. And I pray that your aspirations, that the wish and the hopes of the people of Ogun West will manifest itself.
The ADC governorship candidate believes if given an opportunity to govern the state, he will create jobs, improve living conditions of the people, increase enrollment of students in schools, as well as create an enabling environment for businesses to strive.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council launches stakeholder engagement to drive national investment promotion campaign. We'll have more on business news. Please join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. We're going to toss it over now to Gloria in Abuja for more on the news at 10. Hi, Gloria. Great to see you.
Hello, Marachi. Good to see you too. Here in Abuja, we continue with political campaigns, this time in Abia State, where the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in the state, Dr. Alex Oti, has expressed confidence in the plans of INEC to deploy the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, and the electronic transmission of results in the forthcoming general elections. The Labour Party governorship candidate said this during a town hall meeting in Umuahia North local government area of Abia State, in continuation of his efforts to woo voters.
The campaign train of Labour Party governorship candidates in Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti, resumes after 1 week break to honor Professor Eliezer Ikonne, the candidate of the PDP in the governorship election who died last week. The day's campaign begins with a visit to the palace of the traditional ruler of Umudiawa Kingdom, His Royal Majesty Nnamdi Ofoegbu, where he met Ohowu Council of Traditional Rulers. Mr. Oti's campaign train proceeds to Wonderland Event Center, EC Court, Umuahia North, where he inaugurated about 400 members of the State Presidential Campaign Committee, with a charge to canvass for votes at the grassroots to actualize the presidential bid of Peter Obi and his running mate, Yusuf Dati.
We ensure that at the minimum every ward is represented at the campaign council. A lot of people have subsequently, after we inaugurated the campaign council, joined us from other parties, and some of them, many of them, actually are very senior people. So we wanted to recognize them and also give them roles to play in the campaign council. That's why we did.
Member Alex Oti Campaign Council Chief Victor Ikeji says that Dr. Alex is the best among all candidates vying for the governorship position.
Alex has a wealth of experience, and of course everyone will agree that Abia State is perhaps the most backward state in the entire federation. Virtually nothing is working. Talking about the health sector, talking about the education sector, talking about the infrastructure, nothing appears to be working in Abia State. And of course, at this material time, the people of Abia State need someone with a wealth of experience.
Earlier, while addressing women, the wife of the governorship candidate of Labour Party, Mrs. Priscilla Oti, pleaded with women in the state to vote for her husband.
At least these ones here, I know they are fully obedient and they are with the Labour Party. I want to encourage them because they may be discouraged because of what has happened in the past. Voting, the way it has been done before, it has changed with the BVAS, and it's no longer easy to, to rig elections. So yes, like I said, I brought them the message of hope.
For the Labour Party, nothing short of a free, fair and credible election is expected from the Independent National Electoral Commission.
At least 100 lives have been lost in the clash between terrorists and the proscribed Yankase group in Bakori local government area of Katsina State. The secretary to the state government, Mr. Muntari Lawal, gave the figure after paying a condolence visit to those affected by the clash. However, residents of the community insist that the figure is much higher.
2 days after clashes between terrorists and proscribed vigilante group, otherwise known as Yansake, in Bakori local government area, a delegation from the Katsina state government pays a condolence visit to the affected community. The communities are still counting the cost of the clash on their lives.
Some people, they are crying. Some people, they are running away from this area to move to another area. But due to that, bandits from Dampara states, they used to call them from Dampara to this area, Ergoji, to Gidangamji, in order to help them to fight with our people.
The delegation from the state government is led by the secretary to the Katsina state government, Mr. Muntari Lawal. They had visited Guga, Giregoji and Gigangamji communities to condole with the people and asked the people to assist the relevant authorities combat security threat in the area.
This is a very tragic situation for all of us, for the victims, their families, and for us, representatives of government. So it's a very sad event for everybody. Yes. They're still counting the dead. nobody can tell you actually and give you an accurate number, because some of the bodies are scattered in the bush. Let them defend themselves. Really, because this thing cannot be single-handedly treated by government alone.
The issue is that they came in large number, more than 500 of them. And actually, anyone from their own side, either the cattle rustlers or the bandits, that shows that there are a lot of people around us. Maybe the informants, the people that collaborate with them, and other things like that.
The state government plans to set up a commission of inquiry to investigate the immediate and remote causes of the killings.
In other stories, the Nigerian Immigration Service has arrested 516 illegal immigrants in Kaduna State. The illegal immigrants were arrested during a mop-up operation by immigration officials in the Zaria area of the state. The state immigration controller in Kaduna State told newsmen that the illegal immigrants who are from Chad, Niger and Togo were arrested following actionable intelligence. He'd also disclosed that the service had earlier this year recovered more than 1,000 permanent voter cards in their possession during a sting operation in various parts of Kaduna metropolis. According to the NIS controller, the illegal immigrants will be properly profiled, after which they will be repatriated to their countries of origin. The federal government has released 1.8 trillion naira for the 2022 capital budget as at November 2022. The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, stated this at the presentation of a 130 billion naira sukuk check to the Ministry of Works and the Federal Capital Territory Administration in Abuja. The figure, according to her, represents a 40% performance compared to the total capital budget for the year, pegged at 4.7 trillion naira. But that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Gloria. And it's been a busy day in the courts today with judgments on electoral matters and motions on the controversial CBN Naira policy. A Supreme Court declared the president of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, as the authentic candidate of the All Progressives Congress for the Yobe North senatorial ticket for the February 25th election. And the majority judgments, the Apex Court voided and set aside the judgments of the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal, which affirmed Mr. Bashir Sharif Machina as the candidate of the party.
The Supreme Court comes alive as the battle for who is the authentic candidate of the All Progressives Congress for Yobe North Senatorial District takes center stage. The courtroom has supporters from both sides and lawyers as the five-man panel of justices delivers judgment on the suit which determines the fate of the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan. Justice Sentus Weze delivered the majority judgment, stating that Mr. Bashir Machina ought to have commenced his case at the Federal High Court with a writ of summons in view of the allegations of fraud in his suit against the defendants. The justices say that the decisions of the Federal High Court in Yobe and the Court of Appeal in Abuja were perverse and must be set aside. However, two other members of the panel, Justice Adamu Jaro and Justice Emmanuel Agim, disagreed with the majority judgment. They held that the lower courts were correct in their findings and declared Mr. Machina as APC's senatorial candidate for the Yobe North Senatorial District. While reading his dissent in view, Justice Agim says APC's primary election held on June the 9th, 2022, which produced Mr. Ahmed Lawan, was an illegal contraption and a ruse, as it was not monitored by INEC. He notes that Mr. Lawan's withdrawal from the Yobe North Senatorial District race on May the 12th, 2022, to vie for the APC presidential ticket automatically disqualified him from the National Assembly election. The two justices held that Mr. Machina was lawfully nominated because the primary election of May 28, 2022, which produced him, was lawfully conducted in line with the provisions of the law. The minority decision says the conduct of another primary on June the 9th, 2022, where Mr. Lawan emerged, is in breach of Section 84, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act, as the APC never cancelled the one held on May the 28th before organizing another one. They therefore dismissed the appeal by the APC for being incompetent and unmeritorious. The President of the Senate had sought to clinch the APC ticket for re-election to the Senate after his failed attempt at the party's presidential ticket last year. However, the lower courts affirmed Mr. Machina as the party's valid candidate for the Yobe North Senatorial District. Mr. Lawan had initially decided not to pursue the case, but the APC took on the case, insisting that he was the authentic senatorial candidate of the party.
This victory is for all of us involved. I am the symbol, but the victory is for our party, the APC, and for democracy.
Mr. Machina and his lawyers declined to speak on the judgment.
Meanwhile, River State Governor Nyesom Wike has asked the Federal High Court in Abuja to stop the People's Democratic Party from suspending or expelling him from the party. In the suit, Governor Wike, through his lawyers, asked the court to order the defendants to maintain status quo and stay all actions relating to the threats. In the ex parte motion filed on February 2nd, Governor Wike asked the court to restrain the defendants from suspending him pending the hearing and the termination of the originating motion. After hearing the motion, the judge ordered that all parties in the suit maintain peace and not take any action or step or act that may make the outcome of the motion nugatory and worthless. A judge also ordered that any action made to make the outcome of the motion nugatory shall be a nullity. The judge then adjourned the hearing of the substantive suit till February 14. We'll switch gears now to business news. Here's Anne Mawudu.
Many thanks, Amarachi. Hello and welcome to Business News. As Nigeria debt profile continues to rise, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, the NIPC, has initiated steps to curtail future borrowings by boosting the country's foreign exchange earnings. According to the Executive Secretary of the Council, Saratu Umar, part of the initiatives to achieve the set goals is through a master plan that is expected to open up more investment space for new investors, both foreign and local. She stresses that there is need for a vigorous campaign to promote the country's investment potential, as the country cannot continue to go for loans. And in line with the central bank's financial inclusion policy, Hope PS Bank Limited has unveiled a community financial inclusion policy driven by the Hope Wallet. During a press conference in Lagos to unveil this initiative, the managing director says that it is targeted at promoting a cashless economy and ensuring that Nigerians, especially the unbanked, perform transactions through electronic channels across the country.
Hope Payment Service Bank Limited, which prides itself as Nigeria's premier digital first bank, is leveraging evolving technology to further drive financial inclusion in line with the central bank policy. At a press conference to unveil a community financial inclusion initiative, the managing director of Hope PS Bank, Ogechi Altright, emphasizes the importance of the Hope Wallet.
Your phone number is your account number, and it also serves as your ATM card. With your phone number, you can transfer funds, make payments and withdrawals at any POS, ATM machine, and web. The code is *569*9#. And also remember that Hope is giving away 500 naira for every wallet account that is open.
The group head, corporate services of the bank, highlights the innovative edge of the initiative.
The wallet is to make ease of transaction, to make it easy for you to transact, open and transact, for financial inclusion, for digital inclusion. You can transfer money from anywhere to the wallet. From any account in any bank, you can transfer money to the wallet. Same way you can transfer money from the wallet to any account in any bank. You can pay your bills, you can pay your utility bills, you can do everything that a normal person will want to do on a daily basis with a wallet.
Remember I said irrespective of your educational background or your status. So once you have your account, your phone number, and you walk up to an agent or you go to a device and you key it in, it will link it to the account number that you have. So you don't need to go about cramming that account number. You just need to know your phone number.
Hope PS Bank, a Unified Payment Services Limited subsidiary, says the Hope Wallet demonstrates its belief that everyone should have access to financial and payment services with ease, irrespective of class.
Let's head to the equities market now, which kicked off the first trading day in the week on a positive note. MTN Nigeria sustained last week's market rally. John Mekwa has the details.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the bull is still in the lead at the NGX, sustained the progress on the 54,000 level and adding 81 billion naira to the total market value at the close of trade today. There we see a green 0.27%, building on that 54,000. And we are now at 29.6 trillion naira. Sentiments were driven mostly by MTN Nigeria. Just about 900,000 in volume, was valued at 221 million naira. Thanks to MTN Nigeria. And if you have any share with MTN, you just gain 4 naira 10 kobo on each of your units. And it is now worth 242 naira. What a profitable day it's been for you there. Well, the activity chart ended mixed. More than 95% increase we see on the value at 4.6 billion naira. We'll still have volume in the red, but it's a good start as it seems investors perceive that stocks may offer hedge as the 25th of February election gets closer. Well, that's a stock market report. We'll see what investors do again tomorrow. I'm John Mekwa. It's back to you.
Thank you for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. The rest of News at 10 continues now with Amarachi.
Thanks a lot, Anne. The Adefarasing family from Ogun State has announced the death of their matriarch, Mrs. Hilda Victoria Joanne Adefarasing, at the age of 98. Mrs. Adefarasing was wife of the late Justice Joseph Adetunji Adefarasing. She is survived by 5 children and many grandchildren. Her eldest son, Pastor Wale Adefarasing, confirmed her death in a social media post today, saying their mother lived a long and fulfilled life. Pastor Wale is the general overseer at Guiding Light Assembly, while his brother, Paul, is a senior pastor of House in the Rock Church, both based in Lagos. The matriarch of the Adefarasing family was born in Lagos to the family of Wilfred and Ethel Petgrave in 1925. She attended CMS Girls Secondary School and Achimota College, Ghana. She became a pupil midwife with Macy Street Hospital in Lagos in 1945 before traveling to England for further training, where she qualified as a registered nurse in 1951. Mrs. Adefarasing was a founding member and secretary of the Professional Association of Trained Nurses of Nigeria. She later joined the National Council of Women's Societies as a representative of nurses, rising to become the chairman. She was also a member of the Political Bureau chairman of Professional Association of Trained Nurses of Nigeria. Thoughts and family and prayers with the family at this time. Beyond our shores now, rescue operation is underway across much of southern Turkey and northern Syria following a 7.8 magnitude earthquake that struck early this morning. More than 2,300 people have been killed, while leaders have been pledging to send aid after Turkey issued international appeal for help. President Tayyip Erdogan has declared 7 days of national mourning for the nation and urged flags to fly half-mast until February 12 in the evening. Simon Pusey has more from earlier today.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. More than 2,000 people are dead and many more injured after a huge earthquake struck southeastern Turkey near the Syrian border. A second 7.5 magnitude tremor hit at around 1:30 local time, causing further damage. Here, an emergency worker speaking to people under the debris in Malatya. Rescue operations are ongoing to reach those trapped. Here, a man pulled away from the rubble. Even when the quakes have stopped, there's still great danger. Here, a building collapsing in Sanliafat province. Drone footage showing rescuers in the city of Adana. The first 7.8 magnitude earthquake struck in the early hours of Monday while people were asleep, and dozens of aftershocks have been felt in the hours since. Turkey has declared a state of emergency. The EU says more than 10 search and rescue teams from member states have been mobilized to help with the rescue effort.
These are Bulgaria, Croatia, Czechia, France, Greece, the Netherlands, Poland, and Romania to support the first responders on the ground. And in addition to that, Hungary, Italy, Spain, Malta, and Slovakia have also offered their assistance.
The Chinese government has admitted a balloon spotted over Latin America is from China, but claimed it is intended for civilian use. A similar balloon was shot down in US airspace by military jets on Saturday, amid allegations that it was being used for surveillance. China has denied accusations of spying, saying it was monitoring the weather. The incident has led to a diplomatic row between Washington and Beijing.
What do we want? Fair pay! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Fair pay! When do we want it? Now!
Health workers in Britain have begun their largest strike as tens of thousands of nurses and ambulance workers walked out in an escalating pay dispute. Nurses and ambulance workers have been striking separately on and off since late last year. But Monday's walkout involves both, largely in England, and is the biggest strike in the 75-year history of the NHS. Health workers are demanding a pay rise that reflects the worst inflation in Britain in 4 decades.
Nurses are notoriously bad at standing up for themselves, and I think it's just driven to crunch point, really, straw that broke the camel's back at this point.
Just listen. They're still not listening. They're still saying, you know, the NHS doesn't have the money to pay. Of course the NHS doesn't have the money. That's why we're here. We're here for everyone. The government needs to listen and discuss pay rather than just saying the NHS doesn't have money.
And illuminated bridges, buildings and light art scattered around the city will light up the Danish capital for the next 3 weeks. February is one of the darkest months of the year, but the 23-day Light Festival, which started at the weekend, will bring Copenhagen some much-needed light. This is the 6th year the festival is taking place, and more than 35 light installations will be seen around Copenhagen, mostly concentrated in the city centre.
I think the Light Festival is really nice to have, you know, a stroll around the city at the evening. I mean, during the day, Copenhagen is already wonderful, and during the evening, the Light Festival really lights up the city, and that's what I love about it.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Now, Manchester City could be docked points or even expelled from the Premier League after the English champions were charged with more than 100 breaches of financial rules. The Premier League has referred Manchester City to an independent commission over the alleged rule breaches between 2009-2010 and 2017-2018, a period in which the club took their first steps towards becoming English football's dominant force. Other possible punishments include transfer bans, spending limits, and even the stripping of previous titles. Manchester City said they were surprised by the charges and insisted there was irrefutable evidence that supports their case. Now, Jesse Marsch has been sacked as Leeds United manager after the American failed to halt the struggling club's slide towards the Premier League relegation zone. Leeds United's 1-0 loss at Nottingham Forest on Sunday left them just 1 place above the bottom 3 after 7 league games without a win. Now, that's a wrap on Sports News. It's back to Amarachi with the wrap of the news.
Thanks a lot, Victor. And the main news again. The Supreme Court today affirmed that President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, is the authentic APC candidate for Yobe North Senatorial District in the legislative election on February 25th. And Nigerian artist Temilade Okpeniyi, also known as Tems, became the first Nigerian female artist to win a Grammy for her part in Future's hit single, Wait For You, under the award category for Best Melodic Rap Performance. I'll be all on the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.